Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners pregame podcast powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum. Parker Thune, Travis Davison, also known as Grill Boy, joining us as usual on this Thanksgiving Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. So we hope you guys are having happy Thanksgiving. You guys are probably watching this the day after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving or even on a Saturday. But we're recording it prior to that because, holidays and all. We have a lot to talk about here. Obviously, Oklahoma's hosting 7-4 LSU, which looked like it was going to be a massive game at the beginning of the year, preseason, everything. The season took place, and that's not what it is, but they're still 7-4 and one of the most talented teams that Oklahoma is going to face as far as rosters. There are some people you talk to in Norman that say they're the most athletic team Oklahoma is going to face by far. So we got a lot to talk about here. Caden Durham's returning to Norman, Oklahoma, or returning to Oklahoma City. Nick Anderson, not so much. Bauer Sharp, that's going to be a fun one when he trots out there onto the field. But hey, there's going to be a lot to talk about here. Michael Van Buren starting for LSU. OU working their way to try and solidify themselves, not just as a playoff team, if they go 10-2 and win on Saturday, but home field advantage. There is a lot at stake here. Very, very pivotal game, very, very pivotal moment for the program and for Brent Venables on Saturday. So we're going to talk about all that. Before we do that, Parker, let's thank our sponsors.
Yes, folks, Riverwind Casino is our presenting sponsor here on the Under the Visor podcast. You know where it's at, right off of I-35 and Highway 9, where all of the construction is now finished on that exit. Makes the whole experience that much more convenient. But Riverwind Casino has been the OKC area's premier gaming destination for nearly 2 decades now. Almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Thanks also to Jana King, the greatest team to ever clean and a proud partner of OU Athletics, delivering spotless results and solutions from stadiums to any size business across the country. Check out which of their solutions is best for you or your business by going to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And finally, a word from Brunt Workwear. Now, folks, choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing either comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work, as so many of y'all do, shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. These are no doubt the most comfortable boots I've ever worn, and they felt comfortable right out of the box. No long, painful break-in like all those other brands. But obviously, they're not just comfortable. They're built to perform as well. So if you've been looking for the perfect gift for the hardworking man in your life, or you're just trying to splurge yourself, get something from Brunt Workwear. Most specifically, my recommendation, the Marin work boots. Their boots and apparel are something the man in your life will actually use and keep him comfortable all day on the job. Plus, Brunt stands behind what they make. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. It's a no-risk gift. So with temps dropping and the holidays coming up, it's time to treat yourself or the hardworking man in your life to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get them something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order with code OU Insider at checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com and use code OU Insider. Orders today. Let them know you heard about it here on the show.
All right. Where do we want to start here, guys? I guess just let's talk about this. Are you guys in agreement that this is the most pivotal game just in Brent Venables' tenure as a head coach? Just such a kind of a moment that can transform Oklahoma one way instead of just kind of staying stagnant in another way, because it feels like if they go off and they win this ball game, they go to the playoffs, it's kind of an alarm to the rest of the nation that Oklahoma not only is back, but that Brent Venables is the right man for the job when everybody else was questioning that at one point.
Yeah, well, I think the reason this game carries such importance is because, for one thing, Oklahoma has won 3 critically important games leading up to this one. So they've set themselves up well. To me, Brandon, like, this is about finishing the job. And maybe that feels obvious, maybe that feels simple, but you rewind to 2023. It felt like Oklahoma was back that year. That was a dang good Oklahoma football team. A very talented team on both sides of the ball, a team that ripped off a 7-0 start, beat Texas in that emotional Red River rivalry. And it felt like, okay, this is the arrival of the Brent Venables era at Oklahoma. And then what happens? Self-sabotage. Lose consecutive games to Kansas and Oklahoma State, and all of a sudden, not only are you out of the college football playoff picture, you're out of the Big 12 championship game as well. That was a team that flew too high, too fast, and didn't finish the job. If this team can go and finish the job here in 2025, beat a team that they should beat on their home field on senior day, yes, that signals to the rest of the country that this team is to be feared. And I already think that's the case, but you can cement that reality by ripping off your 10th win of the regular season here, because that's going to ensure that you're in the CFP field. And once you're in that field, man, obviously it's a 4-game sprint to the finish line. 3 games for the teams that are fortunate enough to get a first round bye. But anybody and everybody in that field can take it home. All they got to do is win 4 games. And for Oklahoma, they're a team that's absolutely capable of going and winning 4 games because they got a defense and a special teams unit that is equipped to go up against any team in America and get the better of them. Now, they got to play well enough on the offensive side, and that's going to be the big variable. But national championship aspirations are at this point permissible for Oklahoma. If you're in that locker room, though, and you're on that coaching staff, can't get caught up in all the big picture talk that folks like us are engaging in. What you have to do is focus on going 1-0 this weekend, beat LSU in the manner that you should beat LSU, and officially slam the door shut on the regular season at 10-2, ready to ride this magical Red November run and the momentum that has come along with it into the postseason.
Yeah, it's interesting, Parker. You used the door imagery there of slamming the door shut. I'm going to use the door imagery as well as a way to frame it, no pun intended. I think this game, if Oklahoma were to lose it, fall to 9-3 on the season, kind of go out with a whimper, I think Oklahoma's momentum would, going into next year, you'd be walking up to the door, you'd be opening it, you'd be walking through, closing it behind you. I think that if Oklahoma wins this game, they're busting through the door with momentum. That they are going into the playoff. They're going into continued 2027 recruiting. Big decisions coming up on December 1st and December 7th, most notably, probably. So, you've got these decisions coming up. You've got a portal window that's about to open shortly. You've got, you've made some headway with some of your 2026 targets. Obviously, at the time we're recording this, a certain Wisconsin receiver commit has just decommitted. So that will be old news by the time he might be in Oklahoma's class by the time this airs on Friday. Who knows? But
a good chance.
Yeah. But they've done that. Obviously, Jonathan Haddon, Markel Ford, like they've got a lot of momentum right now. You can continue that momentum if you beat this LSU team and a team. Let's be honest, you should beat. You should beat this LSU team. They are coming in. They are waiting to see who their next coach is going to be. You have to wonder how much fight they have going on the road. A little cold weather game in Norman, Oklahoma against a team that, if this were like a Mizzou coming to town or somebody like that has a little bit of history with Oklahoma and would love to play spoiler to the Oklahoma season, I might understand a little bit differently the motivations behind this LSU squad. I don't think that they have it in their mind of, oh man, we really just want to spoil Oklahoma season. I think a lot of people in that locker room, both on the coaching staff side and the player side, are ready to get on next season. That being said, Oklahoma has to make sure they send them into next season without a doubt. Oklahoma, when you look at the committee, you talk about style points. Oklahoma is not a team that can go run 70 points up on somebody to get style points. What Oklahoma can do from a style points perspective is shut somebody out. So if you want some style points and you want to show that you can win games in the next juncture of the season with defense, then go out there and put LSU's offense out of its misery and shut them out.
That's a great point, Travis. We tend to think of style points in the same vein as actual points, right? Like style points equals hanging 50 or 60 on somebody. I think Oklahoma's racking up style points. They're just racking them up in a very different manner. And I will make another very obvious statement here, but something that I feel like hasn't been touched on enough this week. Like Red November and this insane run that Oklahoma has been on ever since they won in Neyland Stadium, none of that matters if you don't win Saturday against LSU. If you can't hit this layup to finish the season, all of the goodwill that you have built up over the course of the last 3 games, going to Tennessee and winning, going to Alabama and winning, coming back home and beating a 3rd consecutive ranked opponent in Missouri, none of that matters. All of that is for naught if you squander a chance to lock in your college football playoff berth this weekend. So would hope and would expect, based on the conversations we've had this week with players and coaches and availability sessions, that they are approaching this game the exact same way that they approached each of the last 3, as if their backs are against the wall and they got to have it, because they absolutely do on Saturday. Maybe it doesn't feel that same way, but they got to have it on Saturday.
Yeah, I talking about it on the live earlier. There is some around the program, and I would say probably the vast majority of the coaches, that they're a little worried. And it's not that they're worried that Oklahoma can't beat LSU. They're worried, like you guys talked about, the looking ahead, the potential slip up. Like they're worried that the 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids are listening to everybody that's saying they're in the playoffs. LSU is going to quit. All the big picture things that you guys said, right, that we can talk about, they can't worry about. That's what the worry is in the Switzer Center right now by numerous people that I've talked to. And they're all going, dude, we've been banging in their heads like all week. Like, this is a vital game, guys. Like, you cannot look past this. This is the most athletic team you're going to play, period. Maybe not the most talented, but by far the most athletic team. And so you better be ready, because they're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with you in any position you go on the field with. And they can beat you. The right time, the right night, they can beat you because they're that talented and they're that athletic. So you need to be prepared. You need to be focused. You need to know that it's 1-0 like they talked about, and that if you can't do 1-0, you might be in a world of trouble and you might be home on December 19th and 20th instead of, playing in a very meaningful game, hosting, mind you, a playoff game. So they're doing the best they can. Was told practices are going great. It's just a little bit of the worry. The senior night, like there's so much going on Saturday that this thing has a chance to go sideways. So they've got to remain focused, and the staff has got to keep them focused, because there is so much going on. There's going to be a lot of emotions out there, right? I will say the last senior night that Oklahoma hosted, they were the spoiler. They did end somebody's playoffs chances. You do not want to let that happen to you. Not at home. Not at home. So that said, if there's one thing you're worried about with LSU, what is that? Outside of just them being the spoiler, what is it?
Well, and I want to touch on real quick, getting over your skis and getting, your mental approach, as you guys touched on, and not looking ahead. And Parker, you brought up the 2023 season where Oklahoma fell off a cliff late, right? I think I'm going to bring up 4 plays that happened this season, really 8 plays, but 4 sequences this season. Brandon, you're going to really love one of them. But it showed me the character of this team and why it's different, I think, than that 2023 squad and really a lot of squads that have come through Norman. So first, David Stone, the roughing the passer at Tennessee. It was at the OU 39. roughing the passer to extend that drive, gets it down to the OU 24. That was bad. Everybody was pissed off. Tennessee was about to go up 2 scores. The exact next play with adversity that they're facing, boom, scoop and score. The next play to turn that game around. Then you go to the Alabama game, right? Alabama's about to go up 2 scores. This offense isn't built to go back up from 2 scores. What happens when Kobe McKenzie falls on the football and it goes out of bounds or it doesn't get recovered by him and everybody's mad at Kobe for not being able to get down and drop on it? The next play, Eli Bowen takes it to the house on a pick 6, right? Next, this past weekend against Missouri, Oklahoma had 3 punts to start the game. Missouri, 8.5 minutes off the clock with that, scoring drive to start the game. It was going to be a long day for Oklahoma if that started off. You had on a 2nd and 7, your own 13, John Mateer throws one short to Isaiah Satania, who drops it, and you're thinking, oh, great, here comes another punt. You're a 3rd and 7. Instead, they face adversity again, and boom, 87-yard touchdown. And then lastly, we had Reggie Powers, right? Man, they're finally putting together a drive. Reggie Powers gets hit with the targeting call. What happens on the very next play, Brandon?
Jacoby Johnson intercepts
the ball. So many times this team this year has met adversity and punched back harder, punched back with touchdowns, punched back with turnovers. That speaks to me when I'm thinking how they handle adversity and how they handle success. This team's built different character-wise, and I think that's why I have confidence that they're not going to let their foot off the gas when LSU comes to town.
To your point, and that was a fantastic, some summarization of just everything that's happened this year to Oklahoma. That makes you believe that they can do it. And to your point, like when I got told that, specifically today, and I literally asked the person, I said, don't you guys have like some of the best leadership you guys have ever had at Oklahoma? And their answer was, yeah, we do. But that leadership's never been in this position. And so, I get the reservation from those inside because they can't look and feel confident to the point where they show any sort of, I guess, lax, right? Like they can't do that. However, I think that at the same time, I think that deep down they believe that this team has exactly what Travis was talking about, has exactly that it factor, the cool, our backs up are against the wall, or this is a big moment, this is a big game. Well, we're built for this game. We went through just complete hell last year to be prepared for it this year, everything. And Brent Venables, to his credit, talked about it at the presser this week when they asked him, like, when did you know that this team was going to be this good? And he said, last year. You all in the public, and most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. He said, but we saw the little things that were building up piece by piece by piece. Each and every time adversity hit last year, yeah, it brought them down. But you want to know what? There wasn't any quit. They continued to fight. And you're starting to see that translate onto the field in 2025, not just individually, but as a collective unit. And when that happens, he said special things can take place, and that's what's taking place with this team. So you would expect to continue to take place. Now, there's going to be a time this year that it just doesn't all fall into place for him like it has. I think we saw it against Texas. You saw it against Ole Miss with the fumble, right? Like everything was starting to work in their favor, and then bam, something else got in the way. And they weren't able to, I guess, shield themselves away from not succumbing to that adversity the second time around against Ole Miss after making that big comeback. Texas, they got punched in the mouth, and I think a lot of that had to do with John Mateer. I do. I think a lot of it had to do with that was the first time this season that the defense was looking over at the offense and going, what the hell, man? Like you guys we're supposed to play complementary football. That's what we've done all year. And now we're not doing it? What is this? But I think that also allowed them to prepare They go to South Carolina, and the defense played. The offense played pretty good against South Carolina. They're not great, but not horrible. They were average. But it allowed the defense to realize, like, okay, well, now it's on us to do what we did last year and carry the team. The good news is the offense is at least average this year. Average, not great, average, to the point where they can at least get into field goal position. And the difference between last year and this year is they have this guy by the name of Tate Sandell. And you want to know how much confidence that builds, not just an offense, but a defense, when you have a field goal kicker that can kick it from 60 yards in? There's an argument that we got asked on the live, Travis. We got asked on the live, who's the MVP of this team this year? And Taylor Wine was brought up. I said, Peyton Bowen had an argument to be made for him. I thought Kip Lewis had an argument. It had to be a defensive guy, right? I think Isaiah Satania's in there. John Mateer, just because of how he started the season. But overall, I honestly, now rethinking it, it has to be Taylor Wine or Tate Sandell, without question. Those are your MVPs.
Yeah, well, and especially when you think of what the kicking game can do, again, for the whole team. It changes. Yeah. And not only does it change how you're able to play, obviously, you can play the field position game. You feel comfortable once you get to basically the 40-yard line that you're going to be, you're going to have a swing at it. But the thing is, the other team starts pressing. The other team starts looking at their own kicker sideways, right? I mean, you've got back-to-back games with blocked field goals, right? You've got teams missing field goals against you. You've got other good kickers that are not performing well. And I think it gets in their head. It's unfair, the coaches are saying, that this Oklahoma offense only has to get to, hour 40 in order to, have a threat here to score. And, what does Oklahoma do when they get in the red zone? Oh, they're number one in America in red zone efficiency as well. So Oklahoma may not get down there often, but when they do, they cash in. So, I think Tate Sandell, an obvious choice for team MVP at this point, with some others that are definitely notable. I would say Satania. The few times where it's been like, okay, this one score might put the game away, or at least might put the offense out ahead enough where the defense can continue to turn the opposing offense a bit one-dimensional. I think that's been a great deal. But I mean, this defense, you could pick so many from it. And one of the things that I was looking at the other day, guys, I want to get your guys' thought on this as we look ahead to portal season around the corner. Of 2025 transfers, there are 10 on the two deep on the offensive side of the ball. 10 out of 22 players on the two deep on the offensive side of the ball are brand new to the program in 2025, and were playing college somewhere else a year ago. Mm-hmm. On defense, 2025 transfers on the two deep, there's only 2 of them. So when we go into portal season, everybody's like, oh, where's the shopping list? We need offensive line, we need wide receivers, we need all this. What do you guys want to see? And I know this is an LSU pregame pod, I get it, but
it's a great question.
But what do you guys want to see in the portal? We've got one side of the ball that is absolutely elite nationally, that is built, and I understand Brent Venables is a lot of the reason for that, if not all the reason for that. But recruiting that side of the ball, Todd Bates, Miguel Chavis, Brandon Hall, Jay Valai, Dreiling, all these guys, like, they've been, putting in the work on the defensive side. They've got them in the system now that you can lose an R. Mason Thomas and you can go beat Alabama and Missouri. And Taylor Wine just steps up into that role, right? You can do that with only 2 transfers on the two deep of 2025 transfers. On the offensive side of the ball, shouldn't we replicate that? It's a complete nightmare. It's a train wreck on that side of the ball. And you got a bunch of guys that are all new to the system. And I know it's a new system anyways, but what would you like to see a smaller portal class taken because the defense has showed you that, hey, this football thing works best if you have some continuity? Mm-hmm. Or would you rather them go get a wide receiver or an offensive lineman or a couple tight ends or what have you? I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on that, especially given the discrepancy in the performance and the makeup of the roster.
Yeah, I think your nucleus is there on both sides of the ball right now. for the future. Your nucleus is there. It's just about, I think at this point, Oklahoma's legitimately at a place where portal additions this offseason are luxury additions. There are really no positions where it feels like Oklahoma is going to absolutely need a guy. Like there's going to be a necessity for a portal addition at one of those spots. And so I would like to see Oklahoma spend very heavily for 4 or 5 guys. And that's about it. I think you go spend whatever you have in the coffers to go get 4 or 5 high-end football players that are absolutely not only 2 deep guys, but starters and or, if they're not starting, it's because you got somebody else really, really good at the same position. And that, I think, is your championship recipe, because you do have to start developing continuity on the offensive side of the ball. And this is a natural juncture for that to occur. You have offensive linemen in the program that have been around and that have come up under Bill Bedenbaugh that are ready to step into larger roles. And we've already seen that from Fasusi and Foje and Eddie Pierre-Louis. And you have skill position guys that are going to return and be key cogs next year, even guys that we haven't seen much of yet. Elijah Thomas being a great example. So to me, I think you probably lean more towards the offensive side of the ball in terms of those splash additions in the portal. But that's what it is in my mind. 4 or 5 splash additions. There's really no reason to take depth guys out of the portal at this point, because your depth comes from within, and it can come from within at this point. There's no need to take a guy for the sake of depth right now.
I agree to an extent. My only caveat to that would be, what if, let's say offensive line, just what if you lose 4 or 5 guys on the offensive line and they're depth guys? Now, granted, it's going to be hard to convince a really good player to come in and be like, guess what? You're probably not going to start in front of EPL, Foje, Michaela, Fasusi. And I mean, granted, right now, like the chances are is Jake Sexton's probably your right guard next year. If he was to come back, that's probably your starting right guard next year. So like, who's going to start in front of those 5? Probably not very many people. Like you would have to go to somebody. Now, hear me out. What if they go grab a Jordan Seaton? Not in the portal yet, but there's a lot of buzz he's going to enter the portal from Colorado. And I'd be willing to bet that Oklahoma would probably try to go after him. Well, that would punch either Foje inside and probably move him to right tackle, Jordan Seaton to right tackle at that point. And at that point, what do you do? Like you're still, again, you're going to have to grab somebody to be, they're not intended to be depth pieces. You bring them in to compete, but in reality, are they really going to beat out the guys that are really good, former 5 stars, mind you, that have been in the system for a year already? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's position driven. I don't think you bring in a depth guy at wide receiver. I think you bring in game changers. I totally agree with that. I think if you're going to bring in a defensive tackle, you're going to bring in somebody that's going to rotate as a main cog with Jaden Jackson, David Stone, right? Marcus Strong, like those are and Trent Wilson. You want somebody that's going to come in and rotate there. Similarly at defensive end. I think the offensive line is the one position where you're like, okay, like you're probably not going to get elite guys except for maybe one offensive guard or an offensive tackle to fill in that one open spot that's there next year. If Jake Sexton decides not to come back, or if, or you just go grab a Jordan Seaton-esque and you can move Foje in, there's so many things and so many variables to this, but I think offensive line is that one position. But as your point, Travis, finally, and as Parker said, I think this is finally 2026 is going to be the first year where both sides of the ball, you're going to have your core guys back across the board, to where you just grab elite guys or bust outside of offensive line. Those are literally, you're trying to win a national title. You have the pieces. Now you just have to you have to go find those puzzle pieces that are kind of scattered, like you've got that thing all set and you're like trying to find on the ground that piece that finishes out the full puzzle. That's essentially what Oklahoma's doing with the transfer portal this year for the first time ever, mind you. First time ever. They've set this thing up really, really nice, guys. It's amazing. That's a great question, though. As far
Yeah.
as LSU, so go ahead, Parker. Did you say something?
I did not say anything, though.
Oh, did you just say thank you?
No, I
I
was
feel
just
sorry.
yeah, we're just moving on to LSU.
I'm in hell right now because, and if it sounds echoey or whatever, it's because I'm in like this barren room. My family is redoing a home across the street from the house that they live in, and they're going to move over here and sell the home. But right now they own both homes, and so this is empty. So it's just there's nothing padding. There's no pictures on the wall. There's nothing. So I hear, but I hear echoes as well. So um, yeah, the LSU game, man. I guess outside of Michael Van Buren getting loose with his athleticism, I think the OU defensive side, are you really that worried about things? I think OU's defensive line could have a heyday as far as sacks go. Be an epic night, guys. I may
Yeah.
be hype. That may be a hyperbole, but I really
No,
do feel that way.
it's no, he could get loose with his athleticism for sure, but he also could get loose with the football. At times against Western Kentucky, he looked like he was playing dodgeball, and he was trying to hit the defenders to make them leave the game. Like there was the pick that he threw, the defensive end just stood up and then just like kind of took a couple steps back, and I mean Van Buren threw it right to him. He hit another defender in the chest. Like there's
No.
he really struggles, post snap, if anybody is not in the exact same place they started. So I think Brent's going to have a lot of fun. I think Brent understands the opportunity out in front of him. I think he's going to have this team revved up. I could see, like I mentioned earlier, that I could see this being a shutout. I mean, obviously, I think the most important factor to that is the same factor that we saw early in the year. And the reason that Oklahoma didn't have multiple shutouts this year was offense was turning the ball over deep in their own territory. They got to stop that. And they have stopped that as of recent. They haven't turned the ball over, knock on wood, since Tennessee. So they're 5-0 in the turnover margin the last two games. Obviously, 3 against Alabama, 2 against Missouri. And you force Tennessee into 3 turnovers. You have 2 of your own, 1 terrible one late, and then 1 in the red zone. So if the offense can hold on to the ball, I really see the defense having a good day on the scoreboard, right? Or top 10 nationally in points per game allowed, 11th in yards allowed per game. And it's almost like LSU right now is a poor man's Oklahoma on both sides without the motivation. Their defense is good, not quite as good as Oklahoma's. We're top 10, they're top 20. Even their offense scores less per game, 5 points less per game than Oklahoma's does. And we don't even think we can score. So, like, we have more offensive yards per game. The whole story about, Oklahoma keeps getting outgained. We still average more yards per game than LSU's offense does. So I think Oklahoma go in there, take care of business, snuff out any weird stuff early, and let this thing be a party.
I think Brent Venables has figured out that with his defense, as long as you limit explosives, as long as you prevent explosives, nobody is really capable of nickel and dime in Oklahoma to death defensively. And so I think that they're going to continue to play to that strength. And with an offense like LSU's, I think they're probably going to be pressing a little bit. It's only natural for a backup quarterback like Michael Van Buren to want to hit on that big play, right? To want to hit on that big play to give his team some life on the road, give his offense some life. But we kind of saw this last week where you got Jacoby Johnson camping there in the cover 3, making a really good coverage play to steal one down the field, where Bo Pribula maybe thought there for a split second that he had a little something there. And so I think for LSU, there's going to be a sense of urgency in trying to create explosives. But as long as Oklahoma continues to do what they have done throughout the month of November, I think really since that Tennessee game where you just kind of soften up a little bit, make sure nothing beats you deep, make sure, I think back to that big run lane that was open for Justice Haynes of Michigan, where he bolted 75 yards to the crib back in non-conference play. As long as stuff like that doesn't happen, I find it really difficult to believe this LSU offense is going to be able to make much headway on Oklahoma. I think really the only chance they have to keep pace with the Sooners in this football game is to unlock explosives, and I don't really see that happening against Brent Venables in this unit. So there's shutout potential. I don't know if I would go as far as to predict it, but there's shutout potential for real.
Yeah, look, I think that this team right now defensively is playing about as peak as you could possibly play. I think LSU's offense is still trying to, much like OU, is still trying to find its rhythm. The OU for much different reasons. LSU is trying to find its rhythm because they're actually using a new quarterback. Oklahoma, because their quarterback it got injured. He got injured when he was peak and he was playing well, and it just never came back fully as far as like just cohesiveness. The synergy just wasn't there and hasn't been there. However, this is a game I think that Oklahoma can get right on both sides of the ball. I think there is a chance for Oklahoma to make some big plays. LSU has been susceptible to the big play at times, not quite as much as you would like if you're an opposing offense, but enough that it feels like you can test them. If they don't have Whit Weeks, I think that hurts. No, I think he's going to play. He's talked to the media and he's saying he broke his ankle and he's acting like he's going to be back out there to finish the season because that's really what he wants to do. But if he's not out there, I think that opens things up quite a bit because that's their leader. That's the heart and soul of LSU's defense is Whit Weeks. So I think that opens things up a little bit, particularly in the run game maybe. But as far as Oklahoma defensively, I'm going to predict they have 5 or 6 sacks on Saturday night. I don't think this defense or the LSU's offensive line is as bad as they've been this year. They haven't played a defensive line that has been as aggressive as Oklahoma's at all this season because there is no other defensive line like them in college football. So I think it's going to be shock. I think the fans, Brent Venables called the fans out. And I think the fans are going to show up. They're going to show out because he called you all out. He said, y'all need to show up and show out. The players are working hard. The team is ready to rock. The fans need to be ready to go because it's as big of a game as it possibly can be if Oklahoma wants to reach the goals that they have in mind because they're a part of it just like the team is what he said. So,
yeah,
look, I think the Oklahoma defense gets after Michael Van Buren. I think Caden Durham struggles to run the ball because OU's unbelievable with run defense. I don't know that they shut him out, but I think if they don't get, I think there's a world where they don't get more than 6 points, guys.
Yeah, you can't hardly run the ball on Oklahoma. We know that much. It powered down Ahmad Hardy. I like their chances to power down any running back in the country. So,
yep.
Yeah, and I think the fans are going to bring it. They have all year, man. It's felt like Oklahoma has had a legit home field advantage here in 2025 for the first time in a long time. And so all of the ingredients are there on Saturday. All of the ingredients are there. There's no excuse at this point for Oklahoma not to take care of business. And that's the challenge is, you did the hard stuff, going on the road beating Tennessee, going on the road beating Alabama, finding a way against Missouri at home when you really didn't have your best stuff offensively, did the hard stuff. Now it's time to do the easy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, with you brought it up right there, Parker, the everything's right there for you. Like they're ready for this. this whole season, it's got us to this moment where, you've got the loaded baked potato, you got the grilled asparagus, you got the bottle of wine, or perhaps some sparkling grape juice for young Mr. Thune. You've
Damn
got
straight.
you've got everything you need. You've got your silverware, you got your steak knife. Oklahoma just needs to put the steak on the plate this weekend. They just need to finish the job. And everything else is ready. Your crowd's going to be incredible. They've wanted this for so long. The recruits, Nagy wanting to go in the portal, going, man, just give me one more little bit of momentum, and we'll go close this thing out. Like, and I just think the comments by West Weeks kind of showed me, like, it just feels like LSU might be done a little bit. Obviously, marked the first time that three brothers had all played on the same field at the same time, with Zach Weeks, Whit Weeks, obviously, and West Weeks. Whit came back from the ankle to specifically be on the field for that moment, and then they're done. Just kind of this like finality that a lot of the LSU team has spoken about special night for this senior night. Like, hey, one last big bang, and their one last big bang was a 13-10 win over Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. So I think emotionally this team is ready to move on, but it's up to Brent Venables and this defense to make sure that they send them off with little doubt.
If you're Garrett Nussmeier, like, how pissed off are you that this is how your senior year ended?
Yeah, I mean,
Ugh.
just look at all of them, right? I mean, look at the top 10 quarterbacks of the preseason. Look at Cade Klubnik. Look at Garrett Nussmeier. Look at DJ Lagway, right? Look at all these guys. Like, all these guys were the toast of the town. They were supposed to be the ones that, we're supposed to be the top picks. We're supposed to be this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, half of them are going to be in the portal. The other half, who knows? So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. That's why it's been one of the wilder seasons from preseason, you know, player rankings and stuff like that, all the way to what we're seeing now, which is probably a good thing, because they were all wrong about Oklahoma being a 6 or 7 win team with
That's pretty
with
funny, yeah.
this with this schedule. I still hear Joel Klatt in the back of my head going, well, the strength of this team is going to be the defense, but the weakness of this team is going to be the schedule. Because I guess Joel Klatt doesn't understand that a weakness, like, the schedule can't be a weakness of a team. That's not part of the team. But all these guys, they better be, if Oklahoma is able to finish this off and put the steak on the plate against LSU, they better be singing the praises, because I don't want to hear this. Well, the schedule actually wasn't as hard as we thought it was. No, none of that. It's the hardest schedule of any playoff team. That's anywhere close to the rankings by far. So, highest win percentage, combined win percentage of the schedule. 62% of the games have been won by our opponents. So, yeah, the flowers better be there. But again, Oklahoma's got to put the steak on the plate.
If you were going to predict how just anybody, just let's just say you think somebody has an extraordinary stat line on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball, it doesn't matter what it is. You can make it up. You think that this person's going to play like this on Saturday. The weather, all that. I don't think it's going to rain for very long. From my understanding, the rain's supposed to be there and then clear out really quick. And it's supposed to be really light, even if it does rain. So if you're going to say one player is going to have a big game, they're going to do this on defense, who would it be? And on the flip side, offense, the same thing.
Yeah, give me Kendall Daniels on defense, especially with Reggie Powers out for the first half. I guess I just stole Travis's thunder there.
That was mine too, by the way. I've been on a Kendall Daniels kick the last 2 weeks.
Okay, so there we go. I mean, great minds think alike, right? Kendall Daniels feels like he's due for a big one this weekend. And then offensively, man, I really want to believe Oklahoma gets the run game going again. I'll say Xavier Robinson gets back over 100 yards.
Goodness gracious.
I wasn't predicting that
But
because
both mine
yeah.
stolen. But I will pivot to Owen Heineke, 918's own Owen
Come on.
Heineke, to have a big day.
Mhm.
Go out with give me 2 sacks and a forced fumble for Owen Heineke.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, 2 sacks and a forced fumble. So I like that. And then offensively, you know what? This is the game that Jaron Kanik finally gets in the end zone.
Come on. Let's
Let's
go.
do it.
I hope.
Finally gets in the end zone. Jaron Kanik's going to get in the end zone this weekend. I'll take that. Jaron Kanik end zone and Owen Heineke. God forbid a
So
couple white boys get some motion.
yeah, there you go. So here we go. Eli Bowen started it off, right? He got a pick. Peyton got a pick the very next week. Or was it? Yeah, no, then Eli Bowen didn't know because Peyton got a pick and then Eli Bowen got a pick 6, right? Or was it vice versa? Help me out here. I'm trying to think. Wasn't it like every other week?
Peyton and RSJ both had picks against Tennessee. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
Eli
yeah.
had the one against
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah. And then Eli got one against Missouri, okay, to go up 2-1 on Peyton. Peyton's going to get a pick 6 on Saturday. He's due for another one. He's got to catch his brother. He even said there's competition between them. So the competition continues on as Peyton Bowen gets a pick 6. And I'm even say this. Not only does he get a pick 6, I think he gets 2 picks on Saturday. Yeah. Yeah.
Big.
And Peyton's having himself a day. Well, it's like picking Owen Heineke to get 2 sacks. Like that doesn't happen.
Sack is a little
Owen
bit easier to
Heineke.
come by than an interception.
I get it, but like linebacker where he plays isn't the easiest to get it. So I'm gonna say pick. Offense, I mean, you're leaving me with no choice here. Isaiah Satania has 120 plus yards receiving and a touchdown.
Wow.
I don't think that's really an outlandish pick, to be honest. He had like 113 or something last week.
109.
109, there you go. So don't think mine was it wasn't even outlandish. So, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. 2 picks for Peyton Bowen, one being a pick 6. He's gonna have himself a day. He's already won the Thorpe, defensive back of the week. His brother won it. Now he wants to win it again. So,
well, as it turns to 10:30 Central Standard Time here the night before Thanksgiving, let's get into some picks nationally, and then let's
that was
move
next up
into
on the
picks
docket, Travis. That was next up on the docket. I was already going to it. All right, the big weekend ahead. We're going to do some picks here. Let's start with Georgia at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, obviously, rough game last week. Kind of blew it. They came back, but then they ended up blowing it again. Do we think they can be the spoiler for Georgia to knock them out of the playoffs this weekend? Yes or no?
Record-wise, these two teams are close. In terms of their overall level of talent on both sides of the ball, I would say I like Georgia by a pretty wide margin over Georgia Tech. And so I got the Bulldogs, even on the road in this matchup, locking up their college football playoff berth, locking up their first round bye. Well, I guess that's pending the outcome of the SEC championship game. But yes, I do think Georgia locks up a CFP berth with a victory over the Yellow Jackets this weekend.
Yeah, I think Georgia wins this game, and I think they cover the 13.5. It's a big number, but I think they cover it.
I don't think they cover. Last year, Georgia Tech scared the crap out of them in Athens. I kind of think Haynes King does it again. I think he scares the crap out of them, but I think Georgia comes out on top. I won't be shocked if Georgia Tech wins the ball game just because Haynes King is really good at doing that at least once a year where he surprises somebody with a big win. I think It just hasn't happened really this year. But I think they keep it close. I think they scare them. I think Georgia wins by a touchdown or so, maybe 10 points, but I don't think they cover. Miami, number 12, Miami at number 22, Pittsburgh. It is going to be cold, 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 cold in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's an ACC game. Pat Narduzzi has said, we take ACC games seriously, but we don't take anything else serious. I'm taking the Panthers. Winning straight up. Money line me with the Panthers.
Yeah, I actually like Pitt to get the upset as well this weekend. I think at home against a Miami team that I can't really figure them out. The latter half of the season, early in the season, I thought they had one of the best teams in college football. These days, I'm not so sure. I like the Panthers to bounce back and get an upset victory. And I've lost. I haven't really been keeping track of what's going on in the ACC and who's going to play for that conference title game. But if Pitt wins,
they're in. Yep.
Yeah, I think if they win, they're in. So I think that's going to motivate Narduzzi and the boys to forge past the Hurricanes on their home field.
Yeah, I think Miami's been playing really well lately. I think Miami gets it done against Nard Dog and his guys. So Miami wins. I don't know about a cover, but ever since that loss to SMU, they've been on a little bit of a run. Plus, you're going on the road at 11 a.m. Home fans won't be up for it as much as maybe if this were for a night game. So I will take Miami to win the football game.
All right. This one's a little interesting to me. And look, when it comes to records, maybe it doesn't really hit home with a lot of people as far as just where things stand. I believe UCF is, let me try to find it here, but they're hosting BYU, or no, they're going to BYU this weekend. BYU is all about the playoffs, right? They're thinking, we're in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. UCF has to win to get in the playoff or get in a bowl game. I don't know that I think UCF wins this game, but I think they scare the crap out of BYU. I'm going to take BYU, but I think they scare the crap. BYU has been so singularly focused on the fact that they feel like they're getting shafted with the playoffs that I think it's become a distraction there. Where UCF is just trying to get in a bowl. The only thing they have going against them is Grinch being in DC.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, where I stand, I hardly think this game is worth picking. BYU.
I know that. I knew you were going to say that.
But BYU got beat by Texas Tech by 3 scores a few weekends ago. They have bounced back in a big way. Throttled TCU on the road, beat a very talented Cincinnati team at their place, 26-14. Really controlled that game throughout. UCF is not a good football team. UCF came very, very close to losing to Oklahoma State last weekend. So on their home field on senior night, BYU by like 25-30. I don't think this game is close.
Yeah. Yep. BYU is going to win the football game. I like them to cover as well. I get the distraction as well, but yeah, I think BYU is like the few fans that are causing a riot on Twitter are distracted by it because it's the first time in their history that BYU Twitter accounts have ever gotten any traction whatsoever. So they're like, "Oh, here we go. We're fighting the good fight." So it seems like they're probably more distracted than they are. I think the team's fine. I think the team's locked in, and I think the team's going to go blow out the UCF Knights, the Central Florida Knights. All these Brigham Young is going to beat Central Florida.
Okay. Ohio State at Michigan. Michigan's won the last 4 games. Oklahoma could use a Michigan upset here just for optics, making it look like they have a really good win. It already is a good win, but making it look like they have an excellent win on their resume. And Michigan could kind of sneak into the playoffs if they beat Ohio State. Thoughts on that? Do we think Michigan can upset Ohio State?
It might throw a wrench into the CFP race there in the Big Ten and the race for the Big Ten championship game. I'm not really sure. I haven't done all the research into what the scenarios are, but Michigan has won 4 straight against Ohio State. Ryan Day has a Michigan problem. I think that continues this weekend in Ann Arbor. Give me the Wolverines.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier 11 a.m. for that Pitt Notre Dame game or Pitt Miami game, excuse me, where it might be sleepy up in Pittsburgh. Won't be much of an environment. You ain't got to worry about that in Ann Arbor. They won't sleep the night before in order to be up and ready for this one. I still think Ohio State's just a better football team, so I think Ohio State does win the game, unfortunately.
Picking Ohio State too, but I feel like if Michigan can pull this thing out, it wouldn't shock me one bit. They've won the last 4. They weren't supposed to win last year. It was probably a worse matchup last year in Columbus, and they pulled it off. And Josh Pate said, look, I'm not going to pick against Michigan until Ohio State finally beats him because he's tired of being wrong on this. So he'd rather be wrong by picking Michigan. But be that as it may, I'm picking Ohio State. I don't think. I'm not even sure what's the spread in, like 5.5 or something like that.
9.5.
9.5. Oh, they do not cover at all. No, they don't cover, but they win. Texas at Texas, or Texas A&M at Texas. Can the Longhorns be the first to upset Texas A&M this year?
I mean, we've been through this. I don't think Texas is that good. They played the best game of their season, to their credit, against Oklahoma and won that game handily. But ever since, they have not looked like near the same team that they looked to be at the Cotton Bowl back in early October. So even on the road, I like the Aggies to get this one done, keep the dream season alive, and roll into the SEC title game undefeated.
Yeah, I think as odd as it is, I think Texas actually wins this game. I'm not as high on A&M as a lot of people are. Obviously, that Notre Dame win was good. They needed some fluky stuff down the stretch to pull that win off. I luckily cashed in on that game, so I was tuned in to every second of it. But I just don't think we saw it against South Carolina. Obviously, South Carolina blew the game, but when A&M is bad, they're bad. And I think Marcel Reed at times can get careless with the football. Arch has been playing much better. He's been pushing the ball downfield big time. Parker Livingstone getting open whenever he wants against defenses. I don't know. I think Texas gets the win, but we'll be looking on the outside looking in come playoff time, much to the frustration and coping of Nash, our buddy Nash.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Texas to win this game. I don't know. I just think there's something to it. The only thing you worry about is if that does anything to Oklahoma. Does that push them out of home field advantage to make Texas A&M be the last home field advantage, and they push Oklahoma back to 9? That's something you got to worry about there. Like, the chaos can ruin it. Having said that, Auburn hosting Alabama. Is the Jordan Hare voodoo going to come in and save the day?
I'd like to think so, but Auburn's not any good. So give me the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, Alabama's just better. Yeah, Alabama's just a better football team.
And last one before Oklahoma, LSU, Tennessee hosting Vanderbilt. Just real quick.
This is a game that
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Tennessee. This is a game that Vanderbilt has to win if they want to keep their college football playoff hopes alive, and I think they do. I think this is the type of moment where a guy like Diego Pavia is going to shine, you feel like. And so give me the Commodores to get to double-digit wins and make things really, really interesting on the back end of that college football playoff conversation there.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's a better football team. I know that our Longhorn friends are rooting for Tennessee to knock one of the dominoes down that needs to get them into the playoff. Um, I think Tennessee gets the win at home. I just think they're a better football team right now.
Is Oregon at Washington even worth it? Like, does anybody think that Oregon has a chance to lose that game?
Oregon's got a chance to lose it, but I mean they're only 6.5-point favorites.
I mean, is it worth picking?
I would pick Oregon in that one. We can go quick.
You're on mute, Parker. You're on mute.
Damon Williams can play some football.
Yeah.
That dude, I don't know how many people really pay attention to Washington football. They've just kind of been mediocre this year, but Damon Williams is a stud, and he will give Washington a chance to win that game. But I would pick Oregon.
Yeah, I got Oregon. All right, Oklahoma hosting LSU, 2:30 p.m. kickoff Saturday, November 29th. Oklahoma wins. They will be 10-2 and will likely, potentially, be hosting a playoff game in Norman on December 19th or 20th, depending on the day that they play or they're lined up to play during the first round of the college football playoff. I think Oklahoma's defense comes in. I think the crowd is crazy. I think the defense comes in. I think Michael Van Buren is going to be an elite quarterback before his college career is over. I just think there's going to be too much of a defense of slant, too much of a defensive dominance for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's secondary confuses Michael Van Buren. I think the defensive line forces him to make throws he doesn't want to make very errant, quick, just very unpredictable, and unpredictable is a bad word, but very, very, and not even, I would say uncharacteristic throws that he probably wouldn't make at any other juncture in his career. And it forces Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has a defensive touchdown on Saturday. You all talked about it. I think Xavier Robinson has a really good game. I think Satania. I think Oklahoma continues to try to stretch the ball down the field like they did against Missouri. I think they're going to work on that over and over and over until they get it right. And I think they connect on one, maybe two on Saturday. I think Oklahoma, I don't know that they get past 26 because I haven't seen them really get past 26 offensively. However, they're going to have a defensive touchdown. So I think Oklahoma wins the game 31-10.
I think Oklahoma finds a little something offensively this weekend. Nothing spectacular, nothing out of the box necessarily, but I think they start clicking a little bit more than they have the last couple of weeks. And I can't count on LSU showing up and playing their best ball for 60 minutes. Maybe they do. Maybe this is their last big hurrah under interim coach Frank Wilson, and that provides motivation enough to come out and show some fight. But I think Oklahoma wins this game and covers. I think I'm going to pick the Sooners 27-3. I think they get close. I think they get close to that shutout, but don't quite pull it off. 27-3. Oklahoma wins the football game and secures their CFP berth.
Yeah, I have less confidence in the offense than both of you. I'm picking 20-3. I think they get a game close to the shutout. I would love to be proven wrong, and Oklahoma goes out with style points in a shutout of LSU. But 20-3, couple touchdowns, couple field goals. You know, Tate Sandell continues to bolster his Heisman campaign with a couple field goals, and yeah, Oklahoma moves to 10-2, and we have the my favorite post-game radio show that I've ever done. So.
All right, there you have it. According to us, Oklahoma will be in the college football playoffs, and they will potentially be hosting a game. We will have that all that covered for you on OUinsider.com and right here on this YouTube channel, OU Insiders YouTube channel, or whatever podcasting platform you have. There will be a post-game podcast going on. Travis will be doing his post-game show with the KREF. There's going to be a lot going on after the game. Make sure you check that out. Also, go over to OUinsider.com. It is going to be Black Friday here coming up. There's going to be a lot of content, whether predictions on classes, whether National Signing Day stuff. We're going to have everything for you. College football playoff predictions, college football playoff talk, called insider notes on what's going on with the team, all that over there on ouinsider.com VIP. So make sure you go over to ouinsider.com. You type that up in your URL. You click that little green button that says join now. You can either join for $1 the first week plus $11.99 a month, or you can join for a whole year and get complimentary on3 and OU Insider. You get OU Insider for $1 the first week, plus you get The Athletic for a whole year. So it's a 2-for-1 deal. You get OU Insider for a whole year and all of On3. Not just OU Insider. You'll get every On3 site. There is 82 On3 sites. So if you want Texas A&M coverage, if you want to go over there and check out whatever opponent OU's playing in the college football playoffs, you can go check that out too. So make sure you do that. Go join ouinsider.com right now for $1 the first week. And that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners pregame podcast powered by Riverwind Casino. We hope you guys have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. For Travis Davison, for Parker Thune, my name's Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed night.